In the quiet solitude of her dorm room, Nova studied the star-studded fabric of her cape, tracing the embroidered lines of the constellations with her fingertips. The cape was more than a fashion statement. It was a declaration of her celestial heritage and the source of her power. The room was a reflection of her personality, a harmonious blend of cosmic wonder and practical hero gear. A telescope pointed out the window, ready to gaze at the night sky, while a neatly organized rack of quirk-enhancing weapons lined the opposite wall. Her thoughts drifted to the whispers of the stars she heard during her nightly escapades. They spoke of battles to come and the weight of her destiny. The academy's walls had become too confining for her boundless spirit. At 16, she had already faced trials that would have broken most. Yet, she remained steadfast in her pursuit of heroism, her heart a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. The door to her room creaked open, and a burst of laughter spilled in from the hallway. It was her best friend, Shot Todoroki, his half-smile warming the room. "Nova, you coming?" he called out, his voice a mix of excitement and concern. "Kirishima's got a surprise for us." Nova looked up, her eyes lighting up. She had spent hours honing her skills today, and a break sounded delightful. "What's the surprise?" she asked, already guessing it had something to do with food. Kirishima had a knack for finding the best snacks. Shoto shrugged, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "He said it's something that'll make us all reach for the stars." The trio gathered in the common area, where Kirishima revealed his latest find, a rare meteorite he had managed to purchase from a shady vendor. It was a dull grey rock, but to them, it was a piece of the cosmos, a reminder of the vastness they aspired to protect. As they examined the rock, their conversation drifted to their dreams and fears, their voices a gentle melody against the backdrop of the city's hum. The evening was shattered by a piercing alarm. The screens around the room flickered to life, displaying the image of a villain taunting the city. The message was clear: a new threat had emerged, and the time for stargazing was over. Nova felt a tremor in her core, her powers responding to the call. This was no ordinary challenge. It was a cosmic disturbance that could reshape their world. With a solemn nod to her friends, she donned her cape, the constellations coming alive with her touch. The room grew still, the gravity of the moment weighing on them like the pressure of a collapsing star. As they rushed out into the night, Nova's heart pounded in sync with the distant cries for help. The stars above seemed to whisper her name, urging her to take flight. With a deep breath, she stepped into the inky void, her cape fluttering around her. The city lights faded as she ascended, leaving her alone with the silent guardians of the sky. Her eyes searched the horizon, seeking the chaos that awaited. The battlefield was a canvas of shadow and neon, the clash of heroes and villains painting a stark picture of the world they lived in. Below her, the city sprawled like a living organism, pulsing with life and fear. Nova's heart swelled with determination. This was her stage, her purpose, her destiny. Her first encounter with the enemy was explosive. A villain, wielding a quirk of pure strength, attempted to grab her. Nova countered with a blast of stardust, the particles dancing around her hand like a miniature supernova. The villain stumbled back, surprised by the sudden burst of light. The fight grew more intense, the air thick with the smell of burnt metal and the electricity of unleashed quirks. Nova's celestial dance was mesmerizing, her movements a symphony of grace and power. Yet, amidst the chaos, she felt a twinge of pain, a sharp reminder of her mortality. A rogue blast of energy slammed into her side, sending her spiraling towards the ground. She spiraled toward the ground, pain radiating through her body. Her vision blurred, and the stars seemed to dim. This was it, the moment when even the constellations couldn't guide her. But then, a furious explosion shattered the night. Bakugo, the explosive hero, descended like a comet, his gauntlets blazing. His quirk roared to life, pushing back the villain who had wounded Nova. His eyes locked onto her, determination etched into every line of his face. "Nova!" he shouted, catching her mid-fall. His grip was firm, his touch scorching. "You're not dying on my watch." Nova's breath hitched as Bakugo carried her away from the chaos. His explosions propelled them upward, away from danger. She clung to consciousness, her cape fluttering weakly. The pain was a tempest within her, threatening to consume her very essence. "Why?" she managed to whisper. "Why save me?" Bakugo's expression softened, a rarity for him. "Because we're heroes," he grunted. He deposited her on a rooftop, his hands stained with her blood. Nova's vision swirled, but she saw the fierce resolve in Bakugo's eyes. He tore a strip of his own costume and bound her wound, his movements surprisingly gentle. "You owe me one," he muttered, as if embarrassed by his own compassion. Nova smiled weakly. "Thank you, Sparky." Together they watched the battle rage below, the city's fate hanging in the balance. Nova knew she'd heal, but the scars would remain. She owed Bakugo more than just her life. Bakugo stood over Nova. "Get better," he grumbled. "We've got people to protect." And with that, he leapt back into the fray, explosions lighting up the sky. Nova closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of Bakugo's explosion still lingering on her skin. She vowed to rise again, stronger, fueled by the stars and the debt she owed her explosive savior. Nova's world blurred into darkness. Pain had become a distant echo, and her body felt weightless. Bakugo's promise to protect echoed in her mind, but she couldn't hold on any longer. Her consciousness slipped away, leaving her limp and vulnerable on the rooftop. Hours, or maybe minutes later, Nova stirred. The world swam back into focus, and she found herself lying on a narrow bed. The room smelled of antiseptic, and the soft hum of medical equipment filled the air. She tried to sit up, but her body rebelled, protesting every movement. "Easy there," a voice said. Shoto Todoroki stood by her bedside, concern etching his features. "You took quite a hit." He grabs her hand. Nova's gaze shifted, and there in the corner was Midoriya, Deku, the green-haired hero with a heart as big as his quirk. His eyes widened when he saw her awake. "Nova!" he exclaimed, rushing to her side. "You scared us. Recovery Girl said you lost a lot of blood." Nova managed a weak smile. "I'm tougher than I look." She giggled. Deku's worry didn't waver. "Bakugo went to get help. He said you needed more than just healing, something about internal injuries." Nova's memory returned in fragments. The battle, the pain, Bakugo's fiery determination. "Where is he?" Shoto glanced at the door. "He's been pacing outside. He blames himself." Deku nodded. "He's stubborn, but he cares." Nova's heart swelled. Bakugo, the explosive hero who rarely showed vulnerability, had risked everything for her. She had to thank him, once she could move again. As if on cue, the door burst open. Bakugo stormed in, his eyes wild. "Nova!" His voice cracked. "You better not die on me." Nova chuckled weakly. "Not planning to, Sparky." He knelt by her bed, his hands gripping the edge. "You idiot," he muttered. "I should have protected you better." "You did," Nova said. "You saved me." Bakugo's gaze softened. "Yeah, well, heroes don't let each other fall." Deku cleared his throat. "Recovery Girl said you'll be fine, but you need rest." Nova nodded, her eyelids heavy. "Tell her I owe her one." As if summoned, Recovery Girl shuffled into the room, her wrinkled face stern. "Young lady, you're lucky to be alive." Nova grinned. "Luck and stubborn friends." Bakugo scowled. "Don't make me regret it." But Nova knew better. She had allies who'd fight for her, even when the stars seemed distant. As she drifted back into sleep, she whispered her gratitude to the universe for Bakugo's fire, Shoto's friendship, and Deku's unwavering kindness. And somewhere beyond the walls of UA, Eraserhead stood guard, his silent vigil a testament to the bonds forged in battle. Nova's eyelids fluttered open. She was alive, thanks to Bakugo's fiery resolve. As her senses sharpened, Nova noticed a figure standing by the window. Eraserhead, Shota Aizawa, leaned against the sill, his gaze fixed on the city beyond. His scarf was wrapped tightly around his neck, and his yellow goggles rested on his forehead. He looked as if he hadn't slept in days. "Eraserhead," Nova croaked, her voice barely audible. He turned, his eyes narrowing as he assessed her. "Nova," he said, his tone devoid of emotion. "You're lucky to be alive." Nova managed a weak smile. His lips twitched, a hint of amusement perhaps. "And you, why are you here?" Nova questioned. Shota's gaze shifted to the cityscape. "I've seen too many promising heroes fall," he said quietly. "I don't want another name on that list." Nova understood. Eraserhead was a sentinel, guarding the next generation. His quirk erased quirks, but his presence erased doubt. The doubt that whispered in the hearts of young heroes when faced with overwhelming odds. "You're not alone," Nova said. "We fight together." He grunted, as if acknowledging her words. "Bakugo told me about your debt." "He saved me," Nova said. "And you?" "I'm not sentimental," Shota interrupted. "But I expect you to recover quickly. We need every star we can get." Nova nodded. "I'll be back out there soon." As he turned to leave, Shota hesitated. "You're reckless," he said, "but you have potential." "Coming from you, that's a compliment," Nova teased. He didn't smile, but his gaze softened. "Don't waste it." And with that, Eraserhead vanished into the shadows, leaving Nova with a renewed sense of purpose. She would rise again, fueled by friendship, stardust, and the unwavering vigilance of a hero who erased doubt, one heartbeat at a time.